So I watched the 4th episode of And Just Like That season 2, and it made me feel like I'd been mindlessly scrolling on TikTok for 45 minutes. I've seen some cute pets, I've seen some fitness content, if you will, I've seen shredded abs, I've seen famous locations, but most importantly, I've been exposed to far too much information my poor brain can handle. Therefore, I am very sorry if I won't mention every single thing that happened in this episode, but the writers pack so much story into those 45-minute episodes, it's wild. So yeah, let's get into the video. The episode opens with a brunch scene of Carrie and Jackie. Carrie bumps into her old boss from the Vogue era, Enid Frick. Now then, personally, I always loved her character. I think it's because she was among the few Sex and the City characters who mocked or even openly disliked Carrie. Don't get me wrong, I am often a Carrie apologist, not always, but often. But I also think it's so unrealistic to have a character who is nothing but adored by others. Therefore, as much as I dislike Jack Berger and I find him the worst Carrie boyfriend ever, the scene when he ridicules her hat I find just brilliant, because for the first time in the entire show, someone acknowledged that Carrie dresses a bit mad. And Enid was another character who Carrie's quirkiness couldn't fool. There was always some sort of unspoken tension between the two of them, and Enid always found Carrie a bit overrated and her writing amateurish. So petty. And so their encounter was as awkward as always. Enid's character hasn't changed at all. She's still straightforward and icy cold, like the true Miranda Priestley she is. And yes, the Devil Wears Prada reference will become relevant in a second. Also, Enid wore Prada in the 90s, so we love her even more. Out of the blue, Carrie asks Enid for a favor. She wants Enid to write a piece about her new memoir, as the publishing is tough these days, but then again, Carrie doesn't promote her book at all. Like, she should be busy appearing at her friends' podcasts, giving interviews, right? So naturally, Enid not so politely declines. However, she invites Carrie to her new project, a magazine for older women called Vivant! The next day, Carrie vents to Seema about the encounter with Enid. Carrie thinks it's ridiculous to be put in the same age bracket as Enid. You see, Carrie is in her 50s and Enid is in her 70s, but like, whatever, who cares? This storyline is so uneventful. I wish something truly outrageous happened to save this show. Like, it turns out Mr. Big is alive. He faked his own death to avoid going to jail for financial fraud. Carrie gets arrested instead. Miranda defends her in court. Like, anything. Anyway, it's sad that Seema's character once again is limited to being Carrie's life coach, as she only listens to Carrie's complaints and pumps her up in this episode. Yikes. Later, Carrie goes to the Vivant launch party, and the moment she appeared in those doors, I was like, wait a minute, I know this place. I've seen this interior before. I know this staircase. And it turns out that they shot the scene in the same townhouse where Miranda Priestley lived in The Devil Wears Prada. But wow, this show must really have an intense budget between renting this $27.5 million townhouse and Gloria Steinem cameo. Absolutely insane. And then Carrie bumps into Bitsy von Muffling, who tries to set her up with this guy, and so she sends Carrie a picture of him that certainly isn't a selfie, if you get the gist. Enid sees that picture and it turns out that she's currently seeing that guy, but it's not really dramatic or funny, just cringy, really. Okay, so let's move on to Miranda, who is back in Brooklyn. She sleeps on the couch, or at least she tries to sleep, as she is disturbed by a banging noise. But the source of that noise isn't Brady, as we are conditioned to believe, but surprise, surprise, it's Steve and his shredded revenge body. Good for you, Steve. Seriously. This is the highlight of this truly bizarre episode. That's all I have to say. Then we cut to the family therapy scene. It's so weird how Miranda doesn't seem to grasp her own doing in Brady's meltdown. Like, he is still a kid. His parents split up. His mom is unrecognizable to him. She lives in a different state with her non-binary partner. And to top it all off, his girlfriend broke up with him. That's so many changes for this teenager. And look, I am not trying to shame Miranda. She is happy with Che, therefore I'm happy for her. But I think maybe she neglected her relationship with Brady, and now she has an opportunity to rebuild it, yet she doesn't seem to be particularly interested in it. It's so strange that the writers try to push this narrative of Miranda who hated being a mother. But I'm sorry, have we watched the same show and the two movies? Apparently not. Che happens to be in New York together with their hubby Lyle. So we are back to the husband storyline from the second episode, and simultaneously we are pretending to completely forget about the big fight between Miranda and Che from the last episode, as both of them act as if nothing has happened. Lyle and Che shed some light on how they met and got married in Vegas by an Elvis impersonator. Everyone has a little too much to drink, and then this happens, but it didn't actually happen. So this scene is mostly cringy and all over the place, and so it got me thinking, what was the point of it actually? To show that Che and Lyle still have a solid bond, to show that Miranda isn't that sexually adventurous. Let me know what you think. Meanwhile, Charlotte has to once again deal with her lifetime partner's sexual problems, but this time around, at least in a comedic way. I find her and Harry quite cute together. They made me laugh many times in this episode. Them working out on strengthening Harry's pelvic floor muscles was very campy, but in a good way, I'd say. One thing I didn't understand though is why Charlotte went with Harry to the doctor's office. Like, he's not 5 and she is not his mother. Like, I know in some heteronormative marriages, men go to the doctors with their wives because they don't even know what kind of medication they take, but Harry never was that kind of a guy. Maybe he has changed, but that would be unfortunate. Also, it's good to know that Charlotte keeps up with her special exercises. She should message Samantha and thank her for telling her about the Kegel muscles. Did you notice that so far we didn't have any Samantha texting scenes? Interesting. A couple of days later, Charlotte and Harry attend the Wexleys' 20th anniversary party, which is a complete failure. Herbert forgot to send the invitation, so only a few guests showed up, but Lisa announces that Herbert will run for the city comptroller's office, which means that John Slattery could possibly be back in the show as one of Herbert's politician's friends or co-workers. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, Lisa introduces Charlotte to this art gallery owner, and look, in my reviews, I try to be as open-minded and objective as possible. I am not here to shamelessly hate on it just like that, simply because it exists. There are other channels that do it exceedingly well. I personally strive for constructive criticism and at the same time try to give the credit where the credit is due, but that having said, who the heck wrote this dialogue? It sounds like ChatGPT wrote it. Here's what's bothering me. Charlotte keeps throwing those random names. She tells this art guy,
"Well, I used to work at the Wickham Gallery, back when Banks Thurlow owned it."
What? I have never heard any of those names before. I don't think we've ever known the actual name of the gallery Charlotte worked in SATC. It was always just referred to as Charlotte's Gallery, even though she wasn't the owner. And by the way, I don't think that the Wickham Gallery exists or ever existed. There is a similarly named place in the UK, so I'm sure one of the writers just needed a convincing name of an art gallery, found this place on Google, realized they can't use the actual name for whatever reasons, and slightly modified it. But then this guy, played by Victor Garber, is like, "Wait, are you the young art dealer who discovered Sonia Sklarov back in the day?" And like, Sonia Sklarov is indeed a painter, an extremely talented one, but we, the viewers of this franchise, have no emotional connection with her art. Instead, he should have said, "Are you the art dealer who exhibited Bear Johnson's Drag Kings in the late 90s?" And Charlotte would be like, "Yes, I even posed for him as a drag king. And get this, now I have a non-binary kid." It's funny how it came in a full circle. It's so mad that the writers didn't mention this photoshoot plotline when Rock was coming out. Such a waste of opportunity. Anyway, he offers Charlotte a job because, quote, he needs someone with Charlotte's taste in his gallery, but like, she didn't work for so many years. What if her taste in art became poor? Besides, Charlotte has gotten so much hate for not working over the years, but why is no one talking about the fact that Miranda doesn't work now too? Is she living off her savings? Is she blowing off Brady's trust fund? I need to know. Overall, this episode was very chaotic and a bit boring. I'd give it 4 pigeon purses out of 10. The problem with this show is that there are way too many characters and nothing really ties them together without Carrie's voiceover. That would be an easy fix, but Michael Patrick King insists that And Just Like That is a different show from Sex and the City, hence there will be no voiceovers. Yes, that was his explanation, and it makes no sense. I agree with you. Also, in the book Sex and the City and Us, Jennifer Kishin Armstrong writes that Sarah Jessica Parker apparently hated recording the voiceovers because she had to do them alone. Take what you will with that information. But in this episode alone, we've seen Carrie, Jackie, Enid, Miranda, Steve, Brady, Seema, Charlotte, Harry, Anthony, Che, Lyle, Bitsy von Muffling, Lisa, Herbert, Eunice. We've met Lisa's father, and I have a feeling we will see this art guy again. And actually, there are even more characters in this show, but in this episode, they got little to no screen time. I'm sure that writing dialogues for that big cast and keeping track of everyone's respective storylines isn't easy. I would actually assume it must be pretty frustrating and exhausting, so why the writers of And Just Like That do it anyway? Do they really strive for diversity and representation that much? I mean, hopefully, but I feel there is more to it. Hear me out. We know that short-term media like TikTok drastically diminish our attention span. Most TikTok users view only 7-9 seconds of a TikTok. Here on YouTube, losing around 30% of viewers in the first 30 seconds of a video is typical. So how to compete with that when wanting to create long-form content like a TV show? After all, And Just Like That is a product, and a product must sell. Judging by the number of cameos, haute couture fashion, luxurious locations, this show wasn't cheap to produce. So in my opinion, in order to keep people watching, And Just Like That tries to recreate the TikTok experience with an emphasis on tries. Each episode is excessively jam-packed with numerous storylines, and more side characters are constantly added to the mix. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but this show doesn't even have an intro, even though the opening scene of Sex and the City is so iconic and that melody is automatically recognizable with the franchise. But the creators of And Just Like That would rather not waste any of our goldfish attention span. But is it working? Because I find myself flicking through my phone when I watch this show, and I don't think it's because I no longer can focus, because I know I can. It's because this show lacks soul. It lacks passion. It makes me think, and okay, maybe that's a stretch, about that film with Brad Pitt when he plays a manager who assembles a baseball team based on a computer analysis instead of players' skills and their passion for the sport. And so this mathematically generated team kind of works, but ultimately doesn't win. Do you get what I'm saying? No amount of cameos, extravagant clothing, and tricks will keep people watching when there is nothing underneath, and the dialogues do sound as if they were AI generated. Let me know if you agree with me. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if it's not already done. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!